Public singing felt like a kind of compensation. At least it enabled us to share our helplessness. Looking back on that time, I think of those pandemic songs as something like the gold used by Japanese kintsugi potters to mend their bowls, bright and precious, binding our fragmented lives together. Singing as liquid gold? Do you think that's going a bit far? Are you remembering those sing-alongs down your street sounding rather less than golden? To which I'm quick to defend my metaphor because this is a feeling thing, not an aesthetic one. And because, in my opinion, beauty is in the ear of the beholder just as much as the eye. I'm not denying that some voices appeal more than others. I have my own personal list of 24-carat singers, some of whom I am fortunate enough to have heard live. It still gets my heart racing to remember pogoing to Joe Strummer at the Friars Aylesbury in 1983, or a prom a decade later standing straight underneath Dame Gwyneth Jones as Isolde's Liebestod poured out of her. Indeed, during my 20s and 30s, I had a daily immersion in some of the greatest British singing of my generation. My job was as a stage director in opera, surrounded all day, every day by extraordinary voices. You think opera singers are divas and prima donnas? Well, think again. In my experience, they couldn't be more down to earth. I know how hard they work, how precarious their careers, and how humble their craft. They have nothing mechanical or shiny with which to modify what they do. No equivalent of the spell checks and word counts and web browsing I'm currently making use of in order to bring you this. Compared to the super-technological world where most of us work, theirs is surprisingly wholesome and unsophisticated. Their only tools the inner workings of their bodies. Once you start thinking about great singers like this, there are only two directions your own singing can go. Either you feel so overawed by what they've achieved, you keep your throat firmly shut. Or else you cast aside your inhibitions and start focusing on what you yourself have to offer. Gradually, very gradually, I chose the latter. The fact I would never sing like Dame Gwyneth didn't mean I couldn't practice her art. It took several twists of fate to mould me into someone who could earn a living from singing, both in groups and as a soloist, teaching and leading and using it therapeutically. I found myself working with people from diverse backgrounds, young and old, across a huge range of demographics and cultures, many of them marginalised by sickness or disability. What they had in common was that they all sang. And then came COVID. While professional singers from Beyoncé to the local buskers were out of work, the rest of us were positively encouraged to step into the breach. Do you remember Prime Minister Boris Johnson standing over a sink, soaping his hands and burbling, "Happy birthday," not once but twice, so as to ensure the deadly germs got washed away? The idea was that we should all do the same. And why happy birthday? Well, it's extremely well known, which must have ticked the inclusivity box. The singing needed to last at least 20 seconds, which narrowed the field, but could still have been something like the chorus of Stayin' Alive, also recommended for maintaining the correct pace whilst doing CPR. The trouble with the Bee Gees, and many others, is that they're still in copyright. And though Warner Music once controlled the rights to Happy Birthday, in 2015 a federal judge declared it part of the public domain, so everyone could sing it with impunity. I liked the fact we were being officially advised to sing for the sake of our health. It felt like a license to enjoy ourselves, or at least be distracted from COVID anxiety for regular bouts of 20 seconds. I just wish they'd found us something easier. Have you noticed this? As the most sung song in the world, at the last count it's said to have been translated into over 20 languages, you'd have thought it would be more user-friendly. It starts accessibly enough, swinging along between the fifth and the first note of the scale. But on the third, "Happy birthday," just as you're beginning to relax and have some fun, you're suddenly expected to spring a whole octave, which, for the average underused singing mechanism, let alone one burdened by virus worry, is a manoeuvre.